So the Wii and the Wii U are two what I think are seriously underappreciated consoles in the modern day. Obviously, of their time, the Wii was extremely successful, the winner, quote unquote, of its generation just by sales. The Wii U, on the other hand, a complete and utter failure on Nintendo's part. But obviously, if we didn't get the failure that was the Wii U, we wouldn't have the success of the Switch and now Switch 2. It is a console, the Wii specifically, one that I had as my main console for the majority of my adolescence after the PS2. My family had a PS2 for a very long time, and then it broke, and then we were consoleless for quite some time. And then when the Wii craze kind of came out, my parents snagged one at Best Buy randomly and had that for just about a decade almost before I was able to get a PS3 on my own. And the rest is kind of history. So I still have a lot of my original games from the Wii. My wife still has a lot of her original games from the Wii, and we've slowly also accumulated a lot of her original games from her childhood, from going back to her parents' place, as well as Wii U games that she had as well. I've also picked up a Wii U over the years from a secondhand store and played it occasionally here. Haven't yet hacked it or done anything additional to it, but that is in the plans here shortly. The Wii console that I do have still is one that is backwards compatible, so it does play the only two GameCube games that I do have. But today, I want to focus mainly on what the Wii collection that I still have looks like, and the very few Wii U games that the two of us still share currently. So real quickly, let me just touch on the physical Wii U games, because there's only about 9 in total, 3 of which are going to be loose disc games that we have. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Nintendo Land, and Zelda The Wind Waker HD. I am in the process of getting physical cases to make these complete, and hopeful to do that one day soon. But obviously it's really difficult physical collecting with just the disc. You're oftentimes more lucky to find just another complete in-box game and then selling your loose disc when you have loose disc copies that you're trying to find for older systems. So that may be the scenario that we end up in, but for these games, especially like Zelda Wind Waker HD, I'm kind of just fortunate to have it, because there's not really a better way, at least without emulation, to play a game like Wind Waker HD. Moving on to the actual physical games, we do have a copy of Lego City Undercover, which up until a few years ago was exclusive to the Wii U. Next, we have Mario Party 10, which many of us would like to forget about Mario Party on the Wii and the Wii U, especially compared with the modern Switch interpretations of the franchise. So this is more of, it was part of my wife's collection, so that's why we still have it. And so still have it as part of our joint collection today. One game I really do wish that they had ported and kind of continued through on the Switch was the NES Remix Pack. I know they might have done something for the 3DS, but obviously, just like the Wii U, it's not supported anymore by Nintendo. So we'd really like to see kind of a modern interpretation on this. And I know we had, kind of the NES World Championship or the Nintendo World Championship pack on the Switch come out, but it's really just not the same thing. That's more of a speedrunning element, and this is kind of more of just a mix of games all put together that were remixed and reborn, as the game says. So would really like to see something else like this continue, but maybe just didn't sell well enough to be a big marker for them. Super Mario Maker, obviously a staple on the Wii U, and was enough of a staple to get a sequel on Switch 2. Enjoyed my time with both this and the Super Mario Maker 2, the Switch version as well. But, not something I go back to regularly. I know some people are really, really into the fan courses and all the extras in this, but obviously not something that you can access regularly today on just a stock Wii U console. Super Smash Brothers for Wii U. I have very fond memories of playing in my college dorms. Everybody was playing this and the integrated 3DS version on their systems. The great thing about this was having the 8 players at once. It was just absolutely insane. And this is a really nice completed box copy I was able to get for just a couple of bucks at GameStop, I believe. Just have such fond memories with really every Super Smash Brothers game, post Wii. So, but this was just really nice because I had never played the main campaign of this because I didn't own a Wii U back when it was originally out, but played this in my college dorm room, game room, in our kind of community hall. It was always on. There was always somebody with a console playing it. And I had a 3DS that I was able to join in on from time to time as well. So absolutely love that game. As well as Zombie U. I think it's an underrated gem, and it was ported to other systems, so it's not locked to the Wii U, which is great. It's not a fantastic game, right? It's not going to blow you out of the water, but I think the premise is really, really cool, and especially to see something like this on a Nintendo system is just really fantastic. Heck of a lot of receipts in there. So this has my original Wii U purchase price of $119.95. So there you go. If you wanted to know how much my Wii U cost back in October of 2024, there's your answer. So that's how recently my personal Wii U purchase has been, and this was one of the games as part of that purchase. Now we'll get into the Wii games, and kind of just to kick it off, we'll do the same thing as with the Wii U for the Wii games, and that's go over some of the loose discs because there are some notable ones, mainly of which is this copy of Coraline, which seems really unsuspecting because it's just kind of another licensed game. This game, loose, goes for $80 or $90. Complete, close to $100 to $120. I don't know why. It's not a game that I've played as of yet. I know Coraline has a really big cult following, despite the author being, as creepy as he is nowadays, after everybody found out about his activities. But Coraline is a super valuable Wii game, and I had no idea. My wife had it as part of her collection, brought it over, never had the case, always has been a loose disc, but there we go. A very, very valuable Wii game that I just never expected to be so. Over here on the right side, just some Donkey Kong Country Returns and Deca Sports, which I have never touched. Back over here to the left, we have Epic Mickey, The Power of Two, which I have not gotten a chance to play, but I do want to play sometime soon here. A copy of Game Party, which is basically just a knockoff of Wii Party. Star Wars, The Complete Saga, which there's obviously better ways to play that nowadays with the complete Skywalker saga, but again, part of the wife's collection, so we're not going to get rid of that one. Mario Kart Wii, absolutely a must on the Wii console if you're going to have any type of collection. Mario Party 8, Namco Museum Mega Mix, Summer Sports Paradise Island, which I have no idea. Again, there were so many of these licensed sports or party games on the Wii and Wii U. It was hard to keep track. Super Paper Mario, which is, I believe, my wife's favorite Paper Mario, but she can come and correct me on that when she watches this video. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, Wall-E, Wii Music, of course, a copy of Wii Sports, my much-loved copy of Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock, and I do have that plastic controller in my closet right now, as well as Jumbo Safari Animal Rescue, Link's Crossbow Training, and Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. So that is enough of those. We will now move on to the meat and potatoes, which is going to be the complete in box, or at least the cased copies. Starting off with Looney Tunes Acme Arsenal. This is a pretty recent pickup as part of a Facebook Marketplace lot. Have not really played this. I did see that it was not worth a ton of money, so I just decided to hold on to it and kind of hope to try it out one day soon, but that is part of the collection. Don't really know a ton about it as of yet. Animal Crossing City Folk. I wasn't looking to pick this game up in particular when I did see it in a store, but it just happened to be one of the cleanest copies I had ever seen. I mean, just absolutely pristine, and I'm really not going to say no to a Nintendo first-party game that's in this great of condition. It was just really, really nice overall, and I do love the modern Animal Crossing games, and I haven't gotten a chance to play this one as of yet. I know you can kind of have your Mii character in there, so excited to have this as part of the collection, and especially in such great condition. Next up, we have a copy of Arctic Tale, which my wife was so excited to have that she bought it twice because she forgot she had this physical copy, so she bought or she forgot she had this loose copy, so she bought this physical copy with the case, which I can appreciate from a physical collector's standpoint. But I believe it's just, yep, the case and the disc here. But at least we know that this disc works. I don't know about her childhood copy, but happy for her that she has this one, along with the B movie. Do you like jazz? I don't know if you like this game, though, because apparently it's just a mediocre licensed game. But we have it as part of her childhood combined collection. So this is the big thing about the Wii and the Wii U collection, is that it is really just that melding pot of mine and hers together. And you'll kind of see that coming up here with things like this, like Cars Race-O-Rama, which is a game that I picked up as part of a Facebook Marketplace slot last year, and was excited to have it because it's a racing game that I remember playing, believe it or not, at Disney World. They had kiosks set up with Cars, Cars 2, Cars Race-O-Rama, a bunch of these Wii games from the Cars universe that were always at the Epcot Pavilion for whatever reason. And that's kind of just a big throwback for me of playing a lot of these Cars games that were there whenever they were coming out. They always had a Wii or a PS2 or an Xbox 360 set up with these Cars racing and kind of open world games. And these are two that I remember fondly, only playing there. I never had it on my own personal system, but now I do as part of one of those Facebook Marketplace slots. I believe I got these for like $1 a piece. So I wasn't really going to say no to those. Haven't gotten a chance to play them a ton yet, though. A game that I did get a chance to play a ton of, though, was games from the Conduit franchise. Conduit 2 was the first-person shooter I ever played. Conduit 2 came out at a time, I think it was 2011, when I was really getting worn out on the games I was playing for the Wii. Basically had only played platformers and then the occasional like racing game, kart racing game, regular racing game. I think Need for Speed Shift was something that I was addicted to at the time, but like no first-person shooters. It wasn't really something you went to the Wii for, even though you had the gyroscope aim mechanics on the Wiimote. But the original Conduit kind of made a name for itself for having really good first-person shooter controls on the Wii. And then when Conduit 2 was announced, I got really wrapped up in a lot of the trailers and the hype for it. It is a first-person shooter set in this universe where there are aliens invading like DC and all over the US, and you have this also alien suit that kind of gives you some additional powers and healing and all of these other things. It's basically just Halo's Wii, or Wii's Halo, Halo's Wii. Goodness gracious. But when I pre-ordered this, I remember the guy at GameStop was so excited somebody was pre-ordering. He was like, you get this limited edition, and there's this cool art book with all of these things. And it was really just kind of a mediocre shooter when I look back on it from a, without a rose-tinted glasses. But I had so much fun with this. Like, there wasn't a ton different to it versus like your average shooter. But man, for the Wii, this was as good as it got, man. This was so good. The art was amazing. The graphics were really, really great for the Wii. And the online, I put thousands of hours into this online for this game. It was just a really, really great time, and it was some of my fondest memories. This and GoldenEye 007 were the two first-person shooters that I put the most time in on the Wii. And again, Conduit 2 was the first-person shooter that I ever got to play, and it really left a mark on me overall. I didn't go back and get Conduit, which was the first game in the series, until a while after I had stopped playing the Wii overall. But Conduit 2 is always a game that's going to hold a special place in my heart, and I really appreciate it for what it was. Moving on from that, obviously, Cooking Mama, a game that a lot of people, if you ever had a Wii back in the day, absolutely played, along with a bunch of the DS games. Can't really say enough about Cooking Mama just overall as a franchise. A little unfortunate how it's kind of fallen from grace with, the recent title that they had on PS4 and Switch, but, never going to say no to a good laugh with Cooking Mama. Next up, I don't even think I have the mat for this anymore, but this is Dance Dance Revolution Hottest Party. I remember as a kid, we used to go hard on the Dance Dance Revolution mats. It was a really good way to just kind of exercise at home, I guess, with the family, and just, get your music in. Just Dance kind of took the place of, Dance Dance Revolution, because you don't need the mats, you don't need the peripherals. you had the Wiimotes, and now you have just your cell phone, so you don't really need anything else. But this was kind of the move back in the day, so I just remember playing that a lot growing up, this and on the PS2. Another game with heavy peripheral use, DJ Hero. Played a lot of this, still have the board for this. There was a lot of really good remixes on this, and I remember just it being a joint gift between myself, my sister, and my dad for Christmas the year that it came out, and we really, really enjoyed our time with it. So it is something that I've kept after all those years. Something that has been a more recent pickup, I guess, within the past couple of years, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. Not something that I ever remembered growing up seeing, and it just caught my fancy. And again, it was just in a pretty good overall condition, so I really wasn't going to complain about it. And I just thought it looked interesting. Again, I'm a sucker for seeing first-party games at decent prices in really good condition. So, pick this up. Haven't gotten a chance to play it as of yet. One game I have played and that my wife, I think, has played quite a bit, though, is Endless Ocean. Now, the newer Endless Ocean, Luminous on the Switch, have not gotten a chance to pick up, but I haven't heard the best of things, which is unfortunate. But I'm hopeful it'll come down in price one day soon, because I would love to hit that $20 entry point for that game to just get a decent amount of time out of it, because these older games were just so good. The Endless Ocean games just have such a good kind of calm and chill vibe to them. And I really do wish that it would be given another chance here. So happy to have this as part of the collection, as well as my original copy of Epic Mickey. I think one of the best licensed games and Disney games of all time. We do have a copy of this on our PS5. My wife had Epic Mickey Power of Two. And we have the loose-disc copy of that, but she never got a chance to play this original. Not like I did, especially, where I played this over and over and over again. But this is a really special game, especially if you have fond memories of Disney like I did growing up. We had annual passes to Disney World for most of my childhood, at least the time that we were in Florida, and this was just a really, really great game that kind of tied in a lot with that as I was growing up. So really love that game. Fling Smash is a weird one. I remember just picking this game up for like $5 in the bargain bin, but having a really, really stupid fun time. And I can't remember correctly, but I think this is like executive produced or developed with like Steven Spielberg or somebody. Like some big name director has a part in this. I don't remember if it was Spielberg or somebody else, but it just made no sense that there's some like big director attached to this. I'll have to look that up and confirm that after the fact, but it was a lot of fun. And it came with an extra Wii Motion Plus, my copy of it, I think, or it might have been a whole nother controller. But really, really had a great time with it overall. When I was growing up, it just didn't really make much sense that something so simple would be so fun. Madden 07 was my one Madden game of that generation for the Wii. I remember the soundtrack very fondly. Not much else to say besides that, though. The graphics were kind of poo-poo because it was on the Wii, so that is what it is. Metroid Other M, which, very divisive overall, was my first Metroid game. And I enjoyed it, not knowing what the rest of the franchise was like at the time, because I was a kid. And so I thought it was a pretty good game overall. Thought it was a little bit weird and it was a little bit jarring at some of the story moments, but thought it was a good game overall. And then after playing some of the other Metroid games, I look back on this and I think, wow, that really didn't make sense at a lot of the points. So still happy to have this as part of the collection. And I don't think it's a bad game by any means, but I definitely don't think it comes close to where some of the other games in the franchise sit. So I'll just say that. Next up is a pretty recent pickup for me on the Wii, which is Muramasa, the Demon Blade. Have not gotten a chance to play this as of yet, but did see this at a local used game store, Second and Charles, for a pretty good price, and I had a coupon for it. I did think it came with the insert, though, at the time, but it ended up being actually a second copy of Wii Sports, so I felt the weight inside the package. Second and Charles is a company that will buy new and used goods, whether it's physical media, whatever it is, but they seal these game cases. So on the side here, they had like this seal that has like that ringer if you take it out of the store without getting it kind of bringing it to checkout essentially. And so I wasn't able to fully open the case. I just knew the disc was in there. And so I felt enough weight in there. I'm like, okay, it feels like there's an art book in there or whatever. But so I go to pull out this disc, and inside is literally a second copy of Wii Sports sitting underneath the disc instead of there being something over here on the left-hand side. So overall, I think it's more valuable to get another copy of Wii Sports that I can kind of just offload or sell, but I would have liked a complete copy of the game in actuality. So it is what it is. Happy to have the game in the case. That's really what matters to me overall when it comes to it sitting on my shelf. So that's where we're at. Pets, Dogs 2. This game is one of the weirdest things I have ever heard about. My wife told me when we were at a game store, and I didn't believe her at the time. I said, why do you want that game so bad? And she said, well, there's this storyline in this game about this evil wizard that comes and basically does all these things, and you have to fight it and do all. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, are you on drugs right now? What is going on? I will put the description of the game's plot synopsis like on the screen or a screenshot of that somewhere I can find. It is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard, and apparently every version of this game, whether it's on the Wii or PlayStation 2 or Xbox 360, whatever it is, every version is different. So every version has a slightly different story. The Wii version of Pets Dogs 2 apparently is an acid trip. It is written by a crazy person. I don't know how she remembered this, how this was pulled from her memory, but I desperately want to see a playthrough of this. I'm going to, try to encourage her to do one or see somebody else on YouTube do one, because it is just the most bizarre thing I have ever heard in my entire life. Ratatouille is one of her childhood games as well that we were able to pick up and find a spare case for not too long ago, so that was nice to finally complete that game. Rayman, Raving Rabbids. My mom was actually obsessed with the Raving Rabbids when I was growing up, so this was something that she was excited to pick up. I remember when I was a kid, my favorite game as a kid, Super Mario Galaxy 2. And this is not that original childhood copy, because that one was basically shredded to bits by the time that I had finished with my Wii U and moved on to my next set of consoles. But this is a really nice complete in-box console with all of the goodies and all of the extras, and it's in really good shape. And I think I got this for about $10 secondhand, and this was before they had announced that double pack of Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2 on the Switch, so this was the only way that you could play it. So very happy to have this copy of this still. Don't think I'll ever get rid of it, even if I do get that Switch copy with the double pack, because there's just so much nostalgia behind this. Something that is my original childhood copy is The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, my favorite Legend of Zelda game of all time. And that's for multiple reasons. One, it was my first Legend of Zelda game of all time. Number two, it is my favorite aesthetic, my favorite story, everything. And for some reason, I have two art books, because I used to have two copies of this. The reason I had two copies of this is because one of them got scratched so badly from my sister and I playing it over and over and over again that it just stopped working. So we had to get a second copy, and I remember I didn't have money to get a second copy, so we saved up and we saved up and we saved up, and then eventually I was able to get a second copy like years down the line so I could play it again. And then they came out with that HD version on the Wii U, but I didn't have a Wii U at the time, so there was no way for me to play it. But this was a game that I remember my parents had actually pre-ordered when it was announced, and they were desperate to get it for the Wii, even though we didn't yet have a Wii. But my parents, I think my mom specifically, was so excited to get a copy of this game, and I remember they had pre-ordered it, I think at GameStop somewhere. And it just looked amazing, and I didn't end up finishing it until years later, because I kept getting stuck at a certain point with the Gorons, and it just was pissing me off. But when I finally beat this game some years later, and after 45 hours or whatever it was just an incredible experience. It is one of my favorite games of all time, and it still is, and I absolutely love everything about this game. So I'm gonna put my second little art book, cover art stuff back in here, and try to match that up with, I think, what is that damaged second copy that I have somewhere here, and test out if I can debuff this or get this not so scratched up with all these rings, and maybe resurface that for somebody else who could give it a good home. So we'll see about that soon. Next up here, we have a game that I actually got when I was trying to escape a hurricane in Tallahassee, Florida, and that is WarioWare Smooth Moves. This is a mini game, as most of the WarioWare games are. Got this at GameStop, I think, for like $13 during, like I said, a hurricane evacuation. We needed to distract ourselves while we were waiting on the fate of like our apartment and our stuff and everything that was going on. And had gotten a hotel in Tallahassee near where my wife's family was, and where her family was when she was growing up as well. And this was at the local GameStop, so decided to pick that up. Real quickly through the next couple, Wii Fit and Wii Fit Plus, because everyone needs a Wii Fit and a Wii Fit Plus in their collection. Wii Party is a game that I've played a ton of, but don't really have a ton to say about because it's Wii Party. It's just Wii Party. Same thing with Wii Play. It's more mini games for the Wii. It's exactly what the Wii was built on, and the reason why so many families got it. And then Wii Sports Resort. So many times I have spent climbing up that mountain on the island, and then going back to this same location when the Pilot Wings game came out for the 3DS. Was really, really cool. But really loved the Wii Sports Resort game, especially, even more so than just regular Wii Sports for me, because of the diversity of the games on offer. But again, another game that we just had so much time spent on, and then obviously my wife's family, same deal, had spent so much time with, so we had 2 copies of. But if I take a look at all of the duplicates that we had through our collections, it's just really funny to remark on. These are all the games that we had duplicates of when I was going through our collection to take a look here. So obviously we have Wii Sports Resort, right? We have Twilight Princess, which that's from me because I have 2 copies. Wii Sports, I found that second copy in Muramasa. Arctic Tail, my wife had bought a second copy of. Endless Ocean, my wife had bought a second copy of. Epic Mickey, we each had a copy of. And then Wii Play, we each had a copy of. So 7 total games that we had duplicates of for one reason or another. And now here we are. So that is my Wii and Wii U Games Collection. Again, nothing kind of super fancy in it aside from Coraline for whatever reason. We do have that, but we have a lot of the heavy hitters. Not everything that I would absolutely love. But these games, these individual games, are going to be tested. If they work, they're going to be for sale on my eBay and my Mercari, and so I'll link those below for your enjoyment if you are interested in any of these individual loose titles. But if not, that's completely fine as well. And then the rest of the games, the Wii and Wii U are not something that I'm actively collecting for. I'm definitely much more focused on modern games. I don't really collect anything like the Wii and Wii U any further. I do collect for PS3 and Xbox 360 simply because the emulation for those systems is not great, and they're not as hackable, in my opinion, as the Wii U is, for example. But that's up for debate on kind of the ease of use of that. I just still like collecting PS3 and 360 a lot more than I like the Wii and the Wii U in terms of the disc durability, in terms of the availability of the games and the type of games on there. You're going to hit a certain wall, in my opinion, with the Wii and Wii U, and when it comes to more mature, more adult games at a certain point, in games that aren't just kind of licensed stuff overall. But that is the collection. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, check out the other collections. We've got PS3, PS4, PS5, 360, Xbox One / Xbox Series X already up on the channel, as well as several commentary videos if that suits your fancy as well. So appreciate you watching. Give a like, leave a comment on what games I'm missing from the Wii and Wii U. Always open to some more suggestions, and what stuff that I mentioned that I haven't played that just wouldn't be worth playing. Let me know down in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so really appreciate any support that you can give, and have a great rest of your day.